Hi guys, I hope you're doing well, and in this video we're going to be starting with cost, that is cost in the short run guys. Now we've already seen in the previous videos how output is going to change, that is how your total product, marginal and average product will change if your inputs are varied, that is if you basically increase or decrease resources, what impact will that have on output. But from now on we will be discussing how basically will the cost change, what impact will output have on the cost of production of firms, how would the cost vary. But obviously since we have divided the time dimension into the short run and the long run, so we need to see how will cost vary in the short run, and then later on in the coming videos we'll see how will cost vary in the long run. But since right now we are doing the short run theory of production, so we have already covered the short run impact on, as in what impact will increasing inputs have on the total product in the short run, and how your diminishing returns had an effect on your total margin and average product. But now we are seeing how in the short run, if your output is increasing or decreasing, that is your final output is rising or falling, how will that have an impact on the cost, because we need to determine the cost in order to calculate profits, right? So guys, what is cost? Now this is a very important question, because we need to understand that accounting and economics and accounting have their own definition of cost, right? So it is very important for us to first understand what cost is from an accountant's perspective and also from an economist's perspective. Now, guys, I really want you to please watch this video till the end, because this is a very important topic, because you'll be discussing explicit and implicit cost, and a lot of students have a lot of confusions. They don't really understand what implicit cost is. So you must see this video till the end, and I'm promising you all your confusions will be cleared, right? So देखें, अब now when we are discussing about cost, if we take the accounting definition of cost, the accounting definition of cost simply says that obviously all the payments that are made for the expenses, whatever outflows you are having, right, whatever payments you are making, whatever outflows you are doing for the expenses that you are paying, that is basically known as cost. तो accounting के perspective में cost क्या है guys? Cost है simple वो एक्सपेंसेस जिसमें हमें आउटफ्लो होता हुआ नज़र आ रहा है, जिसमें हमें पेमेंट्स होती हुई नज़र आ रही हैं. It involves a direct payment of money. For example, if you're buying raw materials, we are paying for raw material, that is raw material cost. Obviously we can see payment has been made for raw material. We are paying the rent, we are paying the wages, we are paying any interest on loans, we are paying maintenance expense, and so on and so forth. And there are various expenses that accountants consider this as cost, and they incorporate it as part of the cost of producing the product. They incorporate it as part of cost of producing the total output, right? And guys, such a cost in which you can actually see outflow of money, which you can see that yes, payment has been made, those kind of cost in accounting are basically known as explicit cost. So basically, so not only in accounting but in general, all those costs that where you can see that yes, payment or outflow has been made for the expenses paid, where payment has been made, you can see it, where real money has gone, simple, you can see that outflow of cash, that is basically known as explicit cost. Cost that is actually paid, actually the payment has been made, that is what explicit cost is. So all the expenses that are paid by the business, all kind of cost that the business pays, all kind of money that the business pays, you can see that cost being incurred, you can see that cost being actually paid, that is what is explicit cost. Understood, guys? Now as far as accounting is concerned, if you consider the accounting version of, or the accounting definition of cost, so accountants only consider the explicit cost as part of cost, right? They only consider explicit cost as part of cost. So अकाउंटेंट्स जो होंगे वही कहेंगे कि यार जो कॉस्ट हमने पे की है, जो अमाउंट हमने एक्चुअली पे किया है, वही हमारी कॉस्ट है, राइट? बट अगर हम इकोनॉमिस्ट की डेफिनेशन देखें ना कॉस्ट की, तो इकोनॉमिस्ट की डेफिनेशन कॉस्ट की थोड़ी डिफरेंट है. पहली बात तो ये है कि इकोनॉमिस्ट कहते हैं कि देखें कॉस्ट जो है ना explicit तो है ही है, right? They don't disagree with the fact that cost is explicit. So they say, okay, fine. So if you want to calculate the cost of doing business, then fine. Economists say, ठीक है, calculate the explicit cost. The explicit cost would come like whatever the raw material you are paying, whatever the inputs you are paying, you are paying for, the wages, the rent, the salaries, etc., etc. So economists say that is fine. We agree. We don't disagree with the fact that you are incurring explicit costs, and we agree that the explicit cost or the money that you are paying is part of cost. We don't disagree with that. However, economists say that there is another cost for which no money is actually paid. Another cost, now I want you to listen to this very carefully. There is another cost for which no money is actually paid, but economists call it cost, and economists ask us to consider it as part of cost. And what is that cost? That cost is known as, guys, implicit cost. That cost is known as implicit cost. And what is implicit cost? Okay, so I wanted to pay very close attention to this. What is implicit cost? क्या है implicit cost? Implicit cost is basically the cost of, again, ये जो cost का word use हो रहा है यहाँ पे payment नहीं हो रही है. Cost of self-owned and self-employed resources. क्या मतलब? अब गौर से सुनिएगा. मैं बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है. सपोज करें मेरा घर है, ठीक है, ये मेरा घर है, और इस घर के लेट सपोज नीचे एक फ्लोर खाली पड़ा हुआ है मेरे पास. वहाँ पे मैंने छोटी सी फैक्ट्री खोल ली. मेरा अपना घर था ना, तो सेल्फ ओन्ड रिसोर्स हो गया ना. घर मेरा अपना सेल्फ ओन्ड रिसोर्स है. इसके नीचे छोटे से फ्लोर पे मैंने एक छोटी सी फैक्ट्री खोल ली, 2-4 मशीनें डाल दी, ठीक है. मैं अब बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ. वहाँ पे फैक्ट्री प्रोड्यूस कर रही है गुड्स और मैं सेल कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ. आई एम अर्निंग इनकम. अच्छा, अब ये जो मेरा घर था, मैं ऊपर वाले फ्लोर पे रहता था, नीचे वाला फ्लोर खाली पड़ा था, उधर मैंने फैक्ट्री खोल ली. ये जो नीचे वाला फ्लोर था, इस फ्लोर का ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या था? रिमेंबर, देखें, इकोनॉमिस्ट जो होते हैं ना, इकोनॉमिस्ट कहते हैं कि देखें, आप कुछ भी जब आप कॉस्ट कंसिडर करें ना, कॉस्ट, तो कॉस्ट खाली वो नहीं है जो आपने पेमेंट की हो. कॉस्ट खाली वो एक्सपेंस नहीं है जिसका पैसा आपकी जेब से निकला हो, बल्कि कॉस्ट जो है ना, दरअसल वो बेनिफिट है जो आप फॉरगो कर रहे हैं. अब एक मिनट, हैंग ऑन. बेनिफिट आप फॉरगो कर रहे हैं, ये वर्ड सुना हुआ लग रहा है. रिमेंबर, we studied that the benefit foregone, the next best alternative foregone, what was opportunity cost? Opportunity cost was our benefits that we are foregoing, the benefits of the alternative option that we are actually foregoing. Those benefits were our opportunity cost. Economists teach us that, cost is not only the amount of money that you are paying for something. In fact, the benefit that you cannot receive because of a decision that you are taking, that is also considered as part of cost. And whenever you are calculating profits, whenever you are calculating whether this was beneficial or not, include the opportunity cost as part of your cost. So, अब अगर जो नीचे वाले फ्लोर पे मैंने फैक्ट्री खोली है, इस फ्लोर पे मैं इस फैक्ट्री खोलने के बजाय ऑल्टरनेटिव ऑप्शन था कि मैं इसको रेंट पे दे देता. लेट सपोज मैं रेंट पे किसी गेस्ट को दे देता और मुझे वहाँ से $100 की मंथली और वीकली रेंट मिल जाता. तो ये इनकम मैंने फॉरगो की जस्ट बिकॉज मैंने यहाँ पे फैक्ट्री खोल ली. अब ज़ाहिर है, जब मैं फैक्ट्री खोलूँगा, मैं रॉ मटेरियल लूँगा, मैं मशीनरी बाय करूँगा, मैं वर्कर्स को पे करूँगा, ये सब मेरे एक्सपेंसेस तो है ना. और ये सारे एक्सपेंसेस पे मेरे एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट हैं. वर्कर्स को पे करना, मशीनरी बाय करना, एक्सेट्रा, रॉ मटेरियल खरीदना, सैलरीज देना, ये मेरी एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट है. पेमेंट हो रही है, नज़र आ रही है, ठीक है. अकाउंटेंट, इकोनॉमिस्ट कहते हैं ठीक है, वी डोंट डिसएग्री कि एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट है, तो वी कंसिडर दैट एज कॉस्ट एज वेल. लेकिन इस बिजनेस को खोलने की वजह से, इस बिजनेस को रन करने की वजह से, you are foregoing $100 rent, because instead of opening this factory, you could have rented this premises and earned $100. So consider that as part of your cost, and that is, my friends, known as implicit cost. And there are various other examples of implicit cost as well. Economists also teach us that, okay, fine, certain resources are self-owned. ये घर मेरा था, मेरा घर था, मैंने इसको फैक्ट्री बना दिया, राइट? तो सेल्फ ओन्ड रिसोर्सेज जो मैं यूज़ कर रहा हूँ अपने बिजनेस में, उससे जो बेनिफिट मुझे आ रहा था और अब वो नहीं आ रहा, दैट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ कॉस्ट, राइट, विच इज़ द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. एंड सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड रिसोर्सेज. सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड मतलब ऑब्वियसली ये जो बिजनेस है, ये कौन कर रहा है? ये मैं खुद कर रहा हूँ ना, राइट. आई एम डूइंग दिस बिजनेस. वॉट ऑल्टरनेटिव ऑप्शन डिड आई हैव? आई वुड हैव नॉट डन दिस बिजनेस. I would have maybe done a job instead and earned, let's suppose, $50 in that job, right? I could have done that. So I'm doing business, I'm giving 9 to 5 for my own business, I'm running my business, I'm self-employed, right? So I could have instead worked in in an office and earned $50 a week or a month. So ये भी तो मेरा benefit है, मैं forgo कर रहा हूँ, right? Am I not? I am, right? So this is also part of implicit cost. And economists say कि ठीक है, अगर आप बिजनेस कर रहे हैं तो आप रॉ मटेरियल पे कर रहे हैं, आप वेजेस पे कर रहे हैं, आप मशीन बाय कर रहे हैं, आप इक्विपमेंट बाय कर रहे हैं, whatever expenses that you are, whatever payments that you are making, that is explicit cost, fine. But ये जो बिजनेस आप कर रहे हैं ना, हैंग ऑन, ये तो बिजनेस आप कर रहे हैं ना, इसमें आप वक्त तो दे रहे हैं ना, यू आर गिविंग टाइम टू इट. एंड there is, so economists say there is an opportunity cost of you giving time to the business because you could have utilized that time doing a job. So the benefit you could have earned from doing that job, the income, that is your opportunity cost of doing that business that you are doing. So economists कहते हैं कि ठीक है, जो self employed resources हैं, जो self employed resources हैं, जो आप खुद अपने business में अपने आप को employ कर रहे हो, अपने आप time दे रहे हो, उससे जो बेनिफिट आपको कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव से मिल सकता था, दैट इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग दैट बिजनेस. तो इकोनॉमिस्ट कहते हैं कॉस्ट खाली वो नहीं है जो आप पेमेंट कर रहे हो, बल्कि कॉस्ट दरअसल वो बेनिफिट भी है जो आप उस बिजनेस को करने की वजह से फर्गो कर रहे हो, वो भी कॉस्ट है. मेक सेंस? सो कॉस्ट इनकर्ड इफ यू आर योर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड रनिंग योर ओन बिजनेस, मुझे जो सैलरी ऑल्टरनेटिव मिल सकती थी, दैट इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ कॉस्ट, राइट. तो जो बेनिफिट्स हम फॉरगो करते हैं, विच इज़ द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट इज सिंपली योर अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ, बेसिकली अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ, गाइस क्या लिख कर आएंगे एग्जाम में, सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड एंड सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड ओन्ड एंड सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड रिसोर्सेज. बच्चों को गाइस ये समझ ही नहीं आता है, वो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा होता है इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट क्या है, एंड ये बड़ी कन्फ्यूजन होती है. इंशाल्लाह इसमें आगे जाके वीडियोस में ना और कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर होगा, बिकॉज जब हम अकाउंटिंग प्रॉफिट और इकोनॉमिक प्रॉफिट पढ़ेंगे तो अब आपका कॉन्सेप्ट और मज़ीद इसमें क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी. ठीक है, अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लग रही है और आपको समझ आ रहा है तो 2 मिनट का पॉज लेके मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन के अंदर ज़रूर बताएं कि आपको क्लैरिटी आ रही है, आपको समझ आ रहा है. ठीक है, बिकॉज आपके कमेंट से ऑब्वियसली मुझे भी मोटिवेशन मिलती है कि यार स्टूडेंट्स को एक्चुअली में समझ आ रहा है. ठीक है गाइस, अच्छा मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, एक तो हमने एक अकाउंटिंग डेफिनेशन पढ़ ली कॉस्ट की. सो एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट क्या थी, थोड़ा सा और मजीद मैंने कुछ लिखा हुआ है, इस पर ज़रा मजीद बात करते हैं. सो आई रिटन दैट इकोनॉमिस्ट इंक्लूड एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट बट एट द सेम टाइम दे ऑल्सो इंक्लूड द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट टू द ओनर. So what is the opportunity cost to me of doing the business? Of self-owned, yani as in, because I am using my own resources, like I'm using my house, maybe I'm using my machine. So for example, if I am using my machine that I already owned and I'm using that machine to in my own business that I'm running, so what is the alternative? I could have rented that machine out or given to someone, or maybe I would have loaned that machine out to someone and I would have earned interest. Again, that is the benefit foregone and that would become part of the implicit cost. Plus the self-employed resources, instead I could have done a job, and it includes the opportunity cost as part of the cost, right? So whatever are the total opportunity cost of doing the business, यानी इकोनॉमिस्ट कहते हैं कि जो भी हमारी अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट है, टोटल अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट है बिजनेस को करने की, they are guys included by economists into the cost. So economists include not only explicit cost, but they also include the opportunity cost of doing the business. That is a benefit foregone because you are doing a business, because you are doing that business, because you are self-employing, because you are using self-employed resources or self-owned resources. And these opportunity costs are known as implicit costs. So economic definition of for cost क्या होगी, explicit plus guys implicit cost. मैंने यहाँ पे मजीद बात लिखी हुई है. Cost of self-employed resources क्या है? For example, rent that I could have earned from renting out the portion of the house that I have now used as factory. वही चीज़ लिखी हुई है मैंने. Cost of self-employed resources, I am self-employed, that is running my own business, and hence I am now foregoing the salary I could have earned if I did a job. Again, that's the opportunity cost, right? Now I've used some some more examples, although hum we've already seen that in the video, but let's just run through it again. So examples of implicit costs could be, let's say a firm owns some buildings. So if a firm owns a building, it uses them as a warehouse for a business, right? So a firm owns a building, right, and it is using that building as a warehouse at a storage capacity. The implicit cost of using that warehouse for your business is the rent it could have received by letting them out or renting that premises out instead. So I could have rented that out and earned income as well, but I'm foregoing that income just because I am, using it as a warehouse. So economists would say that, okay, fine, whatever the cost of raw material and labor is, also include the income that you are foregoing as well as part of that cost, and that is known as implicit cost. Because implicit हम इसको इसलिए बोल रहे हैं because it is implicit within doing the business, because it is just the foregone income that could have been earned if you did not take this decision. If you hadn't done this business instead, you could have earned this income. But because you are doing this business, so you are incurring a cost. And what is that cost? You are paying raw material, wages, etc., etc. Is that the only cost? No. you're also incurring another cost. The foregone income that you could have earned if you had not done this business and instead done an alternative thing, that foregone income is also part of your cost. Although you aren't paying something, but it's at least you're foregoing an income, right? And you're foregoing an income because you're doing that business. Just like the fact, guys, just like the fact when you're doing the business, you're paying raw material and wages. Why are you paying raw material and wages? Because you're doing the business. Just because you're doing the business, you're paying raw material and wages, then why are you counting only that as cost? Guys, obviously, so because you're doing that business, you aren't earning that alternative income. So because you're foregoing that benefit, that is also part of cost, economists say, and that is part of implicit cost. And hence is included as cost under the economics definition of cost. Another example could be a firm pays, so let's suppose if a firm pays 100,000 in wages, let's suppose I pay 100,000 to my workers, right? Now that would be the explicit cost, obviously. Now I am paying 100,000, there is an outflow of 100,000. 100,000 is going out of my pocket, right? In other words, I have used 100,000 in my business. So obviously if I am paying wages, so that is the money that I am using in my business because I am paying wages of the business, right? Of the workers in the business. So one alternative could have been that I could have instead not paid them maybe, or I could have hired less workers, or instead, what else could I have done with this 100,000? I could have invested or deposited this money in a bank and I would have earned 10% interest, right? So if I would have deposited 100,000 and earned 10% interest, I would have earned 10,000 interest on it. But right now I am not earning anything. Instead, I am just paying 100,000 to the workers. And I could have used this money and just earned interest as well. So the interest that I am foregoing because I am paying 100,000 in wages. Because I am paying 100,000 in wages, I am also foregoing another income of 10,000. That is also opportunity cost and that should be part of the cost. This is what economists say. The implicit cost is the interest that the business could have earned if it saved or deposited this, this 100K in the bank. One more example and then we'll be ending the video. Another example is the owner of the firm runs the business. Obviously, I've already told you by the way this before as well. He could have earned a salary of 30,000. Obviously, he's doing business. He could have earned. So if I'm doing the business, I would have earned a salary of $30,000. But I have invested my time in this business. And I'm not investing this time in the job. Hence, the foregone salary is the implicit cost. It's basically the opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost of doing the business is the implicit cost. So economists tell us that if you want to calculate the profit, we know what profit is. Profit is sales minus cost. So if you want to calculate the profit, don't just calculate cost as the amount of payments that you're making. Calculate cost as the amount of income that you're also foregoing because you're doing that business. So take the explicit cost into account, also take the implicit cost into account. Take the explicit cost, that is the payments that you're making while doing the business. Also take the implicit cost, that is that cost which you're not paying, but you are foregoing an income for doing that business. You're foregoing an income just because you can actually make those expenses. So why are you incurring explicit cost? Right? Because you're paying those expenses. In order to pay those expenses, in order to make a profit, in order to make sales, in order to do the business, in order to run the business, you're foregoing an income. So that is also part of your cost then, because you're foregoing that income. You're not receiving that income. That also becomes your cost. But that is not any payment. That is not in the form of an outflow of cash. It's not a payment, right? It's a benefit foregone, and that's an opportunity cost, which becomes your implicit cost of doing the business, right? And that is also considered as part of cost. So we'll see how we calculate economic profits in the future videos. So guys, in this video we discussed what implicit and explicit cost is, and in the coming videos now we are going to be discussing further variation of costs. Basically, if we say that okay fine, this is the explicit cost, then obviously the costs are, and this is the implicit cost, but costs are further divided into some of the costs being fixed, some of the costs being variable, and then what is average cost, marginal cost, and we'll be seeing that in the future videos. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed this video, do mention it in the comments so that I can know that yes, you guys are following. I'll see you all in the next video. Keep practicing, keep watching the videos. Until then, take care.